Obi-Wan Kenobi's exile on Tatooine was more than just a time of hiding. It was a period of intense solitude, regret, and perseverance. After the fall of the Jedi Order and the rise of the Galactic Empire, Kenobi took it upon himself to protect Luke Skywalker, the last hope for restoring peace to the galaxy. For nearly 2 decades, Kenobi remained hidden on the desert planet, watching over Luke while struggling with the weight of his past and the realities of his new life. I recently made a video talking about Darth Vader's life after Revenge of the Sith, so now I want to do the same for Obi-Wan, basically explaining his time in exile on Tatooine from his arrival to the years leading up to A New Hope. The only thing I'm going to omit from this is the events of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney+, because I don't want to just summarize the TV show that we all watched. And most of it didn't happen on Tatooine, and I specifically want this video to be about what he did during his exile on Tatooine. So let's jump in. Obi-Wan's exile began with his arrival on Tatooine following the execution of Order 66. He brought the infant Luke to the Lars homestead, entrusting him to Owen and Beru. Owen was still resentful over Anakin's fate and made it clear that he wanted Obi-Wan to stay away from Luke, believing the Jedi way had led Anakin to ruin. Rather than settling near the Lars homestead, Kenobi moved deep into the Junlin wastes, choosing to live in a small cave near the western Dune Sea. This isolated existence helped him avoid Imperial attention and kept his presence hidden from those who might recognize him. Over time, he also acquired a small prospector's hut, which served as a more permanent dwelling in his later years. To avoid suspicion, Kenobi buried his lightsaber along with Anakin Skywalker's and took on various temporary jobs, including working as a farmhand, a barback, a custodian, and a mechanic. However, he never remained at one job for too long, as he was always wary of drawing attention. His exile also meant cutting himself off from the larger galaxy, adhering to a Jedi discipline known as the Bearish Vow, which required detachment from outside affairs. Despite this, Obi-Wan constantly struggled with the monotony of exile and the trauma of the Clone Wars, enduring nightmares of his past and the fall of Anakin Skywalker, who he believed to be dead for the first 10 years of his exile. Although Kenobi did remain hidden, he never lost sight of his true mission, protecting Luke. From a distance, he observed the boy's defiant and adventurous nature, noting how similar he was to Anakin. However, his efforts to intervene in Luke's life were always met with resistance from Owen. On one particular night, Kenobi sensed Luke and the Lars family were in danger from a group of bandits. He defended them, but was confronted by Owen afterward. Furious, Owen punched him and warned him to stay away from their family. Later, during the Great Drought on Tatooine, Kenobi stepped in when Jabba the Hutt's enforcers attempted to extort moisture farmers by imposing heavy water taxes. Using subtle force techniques, he disarmed the thugs and scared them off without revealing himself. Later, when Luke was caught trying to steal water back from Jabba's men, Obi-Wan had to rescue him, but he was able to keep his identity hidden. When Luke flew his T-16 Skyhopper through Beggar's Canyon, Obi-Wan could not ignore the piloting skills he had obviously inherited from Anakin. Luke's daring stunts often landed him in trouble, and after one particularly reckless maneuver damaged his ship, Owen grounded Luke indefinitely, hoping to curb his recklessness. Although Obi-Wan respected Owen's protective instincts, he also recognized that Luke's piloting skills were important. At the time, Obi-Wan was working as security for the Jawas' sandcrawler, so he arranged for the Jawas to drop off replacement parts for the Skyhopper anonymously, ensuring that Owen and Luke would assume that the parts had simply been scavenged. Luke was delighted by the unexpected arrival of the parts, and assumed that Owen had gotten them for him. This small act of kindness allowed Obi-Wan to contribute to Luke's development while still respecting Owen's wishes to remain far away. However, Owen immediately realized his involvement. He stormed to Obi-Wan's hut and threw the parts back at him, making it clear once again that he did not want Obi-Wan interfering in Luke's life at all. Despite Owen's resistance, Kenobi continued to watch over Luke, ensuring his safety from the shadows. While he understood that his presence posed a danger, he could not bring himself to leave Luke completely unprotected. Even if he could not actively train him, Obi-Wan found ways to subtly shape Luke's path from a distance, believing that the boy's future as a Jedi Knight was inevitable. Over time, Obi-Wan even came to believe that the prophecy had been misread and it was actually Luke who was the chosen one. During his exile, Obi-Wan faced threats beyond Vader and the Empire. When Jabba the Hutt hired the Wookiee bounty hunter Black Krrsantan to find the man who had stopped his men from collecting water taxes, Krrsantan abducted Owen Lars, since the incident had happened near his farm. Obi-Wan tracked them to a rocky mountain pass, and he fought Krrsantan but was trapped in a stun net. They fought a vicious duel, and in a surprising turn, Luke piloted his Skyhopper to save Owen, while Kenobi blinded the Wookiee in one eye and drove him away. Afterward, Obi-Wan and Owen shared a moment of mutual understanding, though Owen still insisted that he stay out of Luke's life. Despite cutting himself off from much of the galaxy, Obi-Wan continued his training under the guidance of Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Spirit in the later years of his exile. Through deep meditation, he reached out to his former master, initially struggling to make contact due to the emotional weight of his past failures. Over time, Qui-Gon's presence became stronger, offering Kenobi cryptic wisdom and guiding him toward inner peace. Qui-Gon emphasized that Obi-Wan's purpose was not to dwell on his regrets, but to prepare for the future. Through these meditative sessions, Obi-Wan learned the ability to become one with the Force after death, and maintain his consciousness within the living Force. This was a secret technique that Qui-Gon had uncovered during his own spiritual journey, being trained by the Wills. Though Obi-Wan had yet to fully master this ability, he understood that his training in exile was not only about protecting Luke, it was about preparing himself for the day he would need to pass on his knowledge to the next generation of Jedi. In the final years of his exile, Darth Maul, still obsessed with seeking revenge on Obi-Wan, arrived on Tatooine, using a Sith holocron to lure Ezra Bridger to the planet. Obi-Wan found Ezra and warned him that defeating Maul was his responsibility alone. When Maul confronted Obi-Wan, he quickly deduced that Obi-Wan was protecting someone, Luke. Obi-Wan recognized Maul's intent, and swiftly defeated him in a brief but decisive duel, using a technique inspired by Qui-Gon. As Maul lay dying, he asked Obi-Wan if Luke was the chosen one, to which Obi-Wan replied, "He is." As a final act of respect, Obi-Wan built a funeral pyre for Maul, ensuring his enemy's remains were given a dignified send-off. Though Maul had lived his life driven by hatred and vengeance, Obi-Wan chose to honor him in death, a testament to his Jedi values. As the years passed, Obi-Wan continued to prepare for the inevitable confrontation with destiny. He wrote extensively in his journals for Luke, detailing his thoughts on the Jedi Order, the Sith, and his own experiences in exile. These writings were meant to one day guide Luke when the time came for him to embrace his Jedi heritage. Obi-Wan chronicled his failures, the history of the Jedi, and lessons he had learned about the Force, ensuring that Luke would have access to the wisdom he had gathered over his lifetime. During this period, Obi-Wan also had an unusual encounter with an injured Imperial stormtrooper designated JM-909. Despite serving the Empire, the stormtrooper had been left for dead in the desert, and Kenobi, unable to ignore his Jedi principles, rescued him. He tended to JM-909's wounds and ensured his survival before sending him on his way. Although they never met again, JM-909 later recalled Kenobi's unexpected kindness, a rare moment of compassion in an otherwise brutal war. As his exile drew to a close, Obi-Wan realized that he had never been alone. Though he had spent years in solitude, his small acts of kindness, his training under Qui-Gon, and his unwavering commitment to protecting Luke had defined his life. Obi-Wan Kenobi's exile on Tatooine was not just a time of hiding, it was a life of silent vigilance, sacrifice, and deep reflection. While he struggled with the trauma of his past, he never wavered in his duty to protect Luke Skywalker. Through battles with bounty hunters, inquisitors, conflicts with the Force, and moments of quiet heroism, Obi-Wan's time in exile defined the last years of his life, preparing him for his ultimate fate in A New Hope. Yet, Obi-Wan's influence extended far beyond his years on Tatooine. He was more than a Jedi in exile, he was the embodiment of hope and resilience, a guardian who shaped the destiny of the galaxy without ever seeking recognition. His unwavering belief in Luke, his silent acts of compassion, and his commitment to the Jedi way ensured that the light of the Force endured through the darkest of times. Kenobi's legacy is one of selflessness. He sacrificed everything, not for personal gain, but for the future of the Jedi and the hope of a better galaxy. His guidance set Luke on the path to becoming the hero who would redeem Anakin Skywalker and bring about the downfall of the Empire. Even after death, Kenobi remained a guiding force, proving that true heroism is not found in power, but in the quiet, steadfast commitment to doing what is right. Because even in exile, Obi-Wan remained a Jedi, and the Jedi's greatest guardian. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and as always, may the Force be with you.